All right, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host for today's broadcast, Insane Lyric 13, as we are about to get underway for Stint 2 out of 6 here for IARA's 12 Hours of Road America. Stint 1 was pretty chaotic. Most of the chaos was concentrated in the first 40 minutes, but it got a little bit crazy near the end as well. 4 different prototype drivers of the 5 ended up leading at some point or another in the event, which really kind of put the entire race in perspective. GT top category was pretty much a walk-off for the win, but the fight for 2nd through 5th went pretty active until about the last 18 minutes when a disconnect kind of finalized that. The GT AM category, while the win was there, decided very early on the fight for 2nd went down to connection issues and an accident in the last 2 minutes that kept things really close there. We are just currently standing by right now, waiting to get underway for Stint number 2. Some of the drivers will be going back to back, but for the majority of the field, I believe we are looking at completely different drivers here. Yeah, it looks like wait, is no one? I guess Anzio's going back to back, but I guess no one else is going back to back here, huh? Interesting. I am hoping, fingers crossed, I'm hoping that the paint scheme issue only is in the lobby, and when we load onto the track proper, we'll still be able to see paint schemes proper. If not, I do apologize if that still ends up being an issue. As we are preparing to get underway here, we are still waiting on some drivers. I believe we're waiting on one of our LMP2 drivers here, but the LMP2 drivers do have RPM Mullet, will be coming back, as will be running, as will Deadpan X7, TNR RX, FFEX, and HYR Otavio. Then in the GT category, Anzio will be the only driver apparently who is going back-to-back in stints, along with Nerdy Chimera, who had won in the bottom split. TC Darth Rose will be back in the Mercedes. Crazy Colin will be in the GT Pro category, Porsche. Mr. Plaid Shirt will be taking over the number 21 Camaro. BF Striker is lobby host, and he'll be running one of the 2 Mustangs, fighting with Hellbane 21 in the other Mustang. And also Flavor Adams will be back in the BMW that had walked up to such a massive lead and a massive distance there prior. So it looks like Anzio and Nerdy are the only Ironman drivers. I assume that they're going to be doing all 6 stints, so keep an eye on that. I thought there may have been more drivers doing Ironman stints, but it looks like it's only the 2 of them right now. And every other car seems to have a different driver from Stint 1 to Stint 2. We are still waiting on a prototype driver to show up here for the start of Stint 2. But other than that, everything else seems to be here and ready to go. Again, remember, 4 mandatory stops. You must have all of them done by the time the in-race timer says 25 minutes left. Also, everyone comes to a stop once the timer is at 20 minutes left in the event as well. Okay, I think we may have gotten our... All right, yeah, here comes NDL Hot Dog. NDL Hot Dog will be trying to dig their team out of the gap that the other NDL driver got them in after being involved in 3 different accidents over the course of the race. So Hot Dog really going to have to dig deep to try and find something to work out over the course of the run here. All right, now it looks like he's readied up, so we should... Yeah, looks like he's readied up. So once Hellbane readies up, we will be able to get underway here and load onto the circuit. Once we're in the process of loading onto the circuit, I'm going to try and get ahead of Twitch's mandatory ad breaks and knock a ad break out. hopefully, fingers crossed, we can do that, and then we can have a moderately long run of racing without needing to break away. Again, 5 cars in the top LMP2 category, 5 cars in the middle GT4 Pro category, and 3 cars in the bottom GT Am category for today's event. Still waiting on Hellbane. Not sure what's going on there. Hope, fingers crossed, hope that there's not any catastrophic problems going on behind the scenes here. We did have to do a lobby reset in Stint 1, but it was a very short issue and they got fixed very quickly. All right, here we go. I guess they're not doing a mandatory grid ordering before you load in, so I guess they're going to have to mandatory grid order in the 4-minute countdown. So we'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, they'll have to do a mandatory reordering of the grid, I guess, on track, but they can do that in the 4-minute time. I'm not too concerned about that. This means that the starting change order is just not going to be accurate. So it will be HYR Otavio will be starting on pole for Stint 2 in the number 24. He will be followed by TNR RXFFEX. Will be starting second. Third place will be the Spire of the Dragon car of RP Mullet, followed by fourth place, Indiel Hot Dog. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on him. Fifth place will be Deadpan X7. Sixth and leading in the GT4 category will be Flavored Adams, followed by Anzio in the Subaru, the 816. Then it will be Crazy Cullen in the 95 Porsche. Then Mr. Plaid Shirt in the Camaro, and Nerdy Chimera, who is going to be in the GT4 AM leader. Then it will be BFL Striker in the 49 Mustang, Hellbane 21 in the 64 Mustang, and TC Death Rose, who had his teammate had disconnected at the start of the, well, near the end of Stint 1, which has cycled him to the rear of the grid. All right, we're going to try and knock out a mandatory ad break, and when we come back, they should be rolling underway to start the Stint 2 race here at Road America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Road America. We are about 45 seconds away from getting Stint 2 started. Again, I will be here to cover all Stint 2, and we will be covering Stint 3 as well. Stint 4 and 5 will be covered by a different streamer. Once Stint 3 is near the end, I will start shepherding any viewers in that streamer's direction. Stint 6 might be me, depending on how circumstances work, because I do have other streaming obligations. That is the only reason I'm not Ironman the entire stream for today's race. But hopefully things work out. We will still be covering Stint 6 here. Driver to watch is going to be NDL Hot Dog here, who is starting in 4th after his team had a series, 3 different accidents in the first 30 minutes in Stint 1, ended up having to finish the race with 6 pit stops in an event where the minimum required was 4. But now we are rolling, and once the field drives under the Sargento Bridge, that's about halfway down the back straightaway, we will be off and racing. Again, it's not when the leader goes under the bridge, it's when your car goes under the bridge. HYR Otavio will be leading. TNR, RX right behind. Mullet's kind of falling back a bit, not staying around top. We are green flag and away here at Road America. And boy, look at that. Immediately we're seeing Hot Dog try to make moves, and there's Deadpan making moves. Deadpan goes by Hot Dog immediately at the start. NDL is now last again. Otavio is wide. Otavio is very wide. Here comes TNR, RX, and RX goes to the lead. Under the Corvette bridge, and RX leads. Otavio is still wide. Mullet holds on to 3rd, and Hot Dog has gotten back to 4th. Now he looks to the inside of the Spiral the Dragon car. Can't get alongside yet. Does he go for a big dive into braking? No, not this time. But RX is the driver who is scooting out with the lead early on here in the prototype category. All right, Spiral on the inside. Hot Dog on the outside. Hot Dog cuts down right in front, and now Hot Dog's already up into the 3rd position. He didn't have an initial good launch from the word go, but he has already gone from 5th to 4th to 3rd. Big slide coming out of the kink, but he's already got the draft on pole center. HYR Otavio. NDL is fighting with a vengeance. They know they have to basically make up an entire lap of distance on the HYR team, and they are fighting immediately. Very aggressive here. Bit of a slide, bit of a twitch. But Hot Dog is still right there behind Otavio as RX is scooting away at the head of the field. Accelerating up the hill, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all on top of each other in a nice little draft train. Does Hot Dog have enough straight line speed to try and make a big dive on Otavio going into turn 1? No, not this time, but he is close enough that he might be able to make the run down the back straightaway. NDL in a position they are not familiar with, having to dig themselves out of the hole here onto the back straightaway. He is right under the rear wing of Otavio as RX is scooting away just a bit. Here it comes. The 96 is going to go to the inside. Otavio's going to try and squeeze him, but under braking, there's nothing he can do. Hot Dog is going to go deep, slide the car a little wide on exit, but he gets the power down, and he moves up into the 2nd position. This is the highest that we have seen Hot Dog's entry, this NDL car, be since that accident at the start of Stint 1. And now he has to try and run down RX ahead. Meanwhile, in the GT4 category, Flavored Adams lead, but it is not a walk-off like what we are seeing in Stint 1. Here comes the drive by Anzio. Anzio goes deep. Can he finally get to lead some laps here? Side by side, drag race up the hill, but it looks like the BMW is a little bit better on acceleration. He's gonna go deep, but can't close the gap off the Subaru. The Subaru lunges mid-quarter. He's still there. He'll be on the outside as they come out turn 7 and on the run downhill. Already, something has happened to Hellbane. Seems like they have had an accident very early on, so it seems like that will decide the GT3M category early on here. Anzio runs right behind Adams. Big slide there by the BMW as they come out of the carousel. Now the run down to the kink. Anzio has a run. Can he keep the car under him and maybe get a run down a cannon corner? The BMW slides again. Here comes the Subaru. He is right under the rear wing. Nose to tail. Do you go for a big dive into the braking zone? Going into cannon corner. That's exactly what Anzio's going to do. He lunges, goes deep, side by side. There's contact, and Flavor the process and brings Mr. Plaid Shirt right into the fray as well. But Anzio now leads for the first time. It is the Subaru that leads now over the BMW. Uphill. And now down to turn 1. BMW trying to make the run on the outside. The Subaru puts the power down, slides in front of the BMW, and Anzio is back in front of Flavored Adams. Crazy Cowlin and Mr. Plaid Shirt just a little bit behind. Right on board with the Camaro, who is fourth. They're neck and neck there for second, but it looks like the BMW has a really good ability to get some great acceleration down once the traction is kicked in. And he'll use that to stay ahead of Crazy Cowlin. Now we see him, he's gonna try and go the long way around. Flavored Adams going to go the long way around of Anzio, but he's wide. He misses the braking zone as he goes and bounces over the curbs. Side by side on the run uphill. But there's just no room for Flavored Adams, but he's gonna commit to it anyway. He gets really physical, puts the door to door on the Mustang, on the Camaro. Slides one corner exit. Here comes the Camaro back the long way around, and look at that. That is the Mustang in the GT-AM category. That is BFL Striker, who is striking a little higher up the grid than I think anyone was anticipating. So it looks like Anzio is going to be the one scooting away from the lead early on here. Meanwhile, in the prototype category, RX leads, but Hot Dog is closing down. They're navigating their first little taste of GT category traffic. Again, none of the prototype drivers went back-to-back since, so everyone's trying to get back used to these cars, and they're going to have to do it soon, because at the rate they're going, they're going to be catching GT traffic about another 3 laps or so here. Bit of a slide there by RX. Hot Dog is closing in. Hot Dog needs to dig his team out of a disadvantage. The team is basically over an entire lap down behind Otavio's team and about an entire lap down behind the RX team that he is running down. So Hot Dog needs to catch RX and then open up as big of a gap as fast as he can here. Does he have the ability to do it this time? Under that Flozoil bridge, and now flying through the kink once more. RX taking advantage of every inch of the track that is available to him. Run down now into Canada Corner. Hot Dog's not going to go for any big moves right now, but he is there. He is under RX. So RX opened up a nice little gap early on, but that gap has been dissolved. Uphill and going under the bridge. When will this move happen? This might be it. RX defends the inside. Hot Dog's in. Use superior line and go around the outside. Cuts down on him. He's got it. And NDL goes from worst to first within 12 minutes. Really only less than 10 minutes of racing here at Road America and Stint 2. The NDL recovery drive is alive. Meanwhile, in the GT category, Flavored Adams runs in fourth. Just ahead of him is Mr. Plaid Shirt, then Crazy Cowlin, and Anzio is scooting out with the lead now. So the second place finisher for the GT4 Pro category in Stint 1 is trying to open up a little gap here early on. Big slide by Cowlin, big slide by Plaid Shirt, and Flavored Adams has a chance to maybe get a position or two back. Everyone's gonna be right on top of each other as they come down to the braking zone. Right on board Striker as you see the entire field bunching up there, coming out of Canada Corner. Now we see Flavored Adams is going to try and go for the outside. He wants to try the outside. There's contact between the two drivers for second place. For now, though, Mr. Plaid Shirt cannot get by Crazy Cowlin. So the Subaru skirting off into the distance there. But it is wild for second, third, and fourth right now. And then BFL Striker in the Ford Mustang. That Mustang didn't have a great run. Instead, oh, and that's contact. Crazy Cowlin on the inside made contact with Plaid Shirt trying to make a move on the outside, and now here comes Flavored Adams on the inside. Does he go deep under braking? No, in fact, it's the Camaro that goes deep under braking. And will put the power down. Not too much power struggle, gain grip coming out of the corner. And Mr. Plaid Shirt holds on to third for just a little longer. That American Muscle, that Ford, is in the AM category, not Pro category. But as long as he's able to fight with this grip, look at that dive! And he's into the dirt and he's wide! He's way off circuit as Striker! And into the dirt! Went for a big move, but there is no way that could work as he got 2 tires into the dirt. Now that might put him back into the grasp of Nerdy Chimera, who's doing the Ironman challenge, mind you. Mr. Plaid Shirt holds on to third position over Flavored Adams. Adams goes deep. Adams gets the move done. Again, Adams is in the team where their driver opened up a gigantic gap and actually put that Camaro a lap down by the end of stint 1. So for Plaid Shirt, he needs to get by the BMW and be way past them. If they finish where they are now at the end of the stint, it's just going to put... Well, it's not really going to put them in a deeper hole, but it's going to put them in keep them in a hole that's really problematic to begin with. Anzio has absolutely scooted away here. And now, prototype leaders fighting. Hot Dog and RX neck and neck as they are cutting through the GT category traffic. This was the big weakness of the NDL team earlier. RX has gotten back by. Hot Dog trying to make the outside work contact, and now Hot Dog's off! Hot Dog's off in the Tracy corner! And a big slide, and now Otavio's gonna whip around the outside! So the NDL team absolutely has speed, but it does not seem like their drivers are able to keep it clean, and now RX is going to clear the majority of GT category traffic in a straight line, and that is not going to be the case for Hot Dog or Otavio. Caught right behind that BMW. He has to put the bumper to him and power by. Hot Dog is one of the fastest, if not the fastest driver in the prototype category. There's no doubt that the NDL drivers probably are the fastest ones here, but they just have not been able to keep it clean. They keep putting their cars in places they shouldn't be, has been compromising them. RX is now back to having a nice little gap open, and Hot Dog's gonna have to deal with the GT category leader of Anzio into the braking zone here. And in the acceleration zone, he should be able to clear by the time they get under the Corvette bridge at least. The top 3 have now cleared GT category traffic. Meanwhile, in GT, Crazy Colin is starting to open out in second. It is Flavored Adams and Mr. Plaid Shirt going neck and neck here for third position as the rest of the prototype field tries to go by. Not a lot of clear, free track for these drivers when the prototypes just blitzing by so much faster. They have downforce, and they're so much lighter, they have so much more power, can go anywhere. There is nowhere where they are held up outside of the apex of the corners by the GT4 cars. Oh, and Adams gets so sideways. I don't know how he kept that BMW under him, but it was completely sideways, about 30 to 35 degrees with the rear end hanging out. As if he was listening to Eminem tell him to shake the rear end on the car. Hillsbane has already been into the pits for a second accident already. So they're going to go a lap down incredibly early here. But for the moment, the fight seems to be for third, Mr. Plaid Shirt trying to run Flavored Adams down. And then there's an outside chance that if Cowlin deals with pace fall off, they could get caught by both Adams and Plaid Shirt. But right now, for Anzio, who is leading in the GT4 Pro category, this is what he needs. He was second in stint 1, and the driver who had that big advantage over him in stint 1, well, the driver that car is now buried down there in third position right now. Esquire Otavio currently runs in second over NDL Hot Dog after Hot Dog tried to make an outside move on RX and there was just no room. and Hot Dog went flying off circuit. He was lucky to not pull a Paul Tracy and go into the wall and total his car. And this is good news for Otavio. While RX is opening the gap, and that's not quite as good news, the IARA team is very much showing enough pace to keep themselves in contention for the overall stint win and the overall event lead right now. This stint win probably isn't going to be in their favor. RX definitely is faster than Otavio, but they are positioning themselves well for the overall battles for the end result. RP Mullet and Deadpan are just nowhere near the top 3 in pace, it seems. Oh, and Hot Dog's pitting. Hot Dog's pitting only 20 minutes into the event. There's a little bit of engine damage and transmission damage, but I'm guessing that Hot Dog is saying, I don't want to spend time fighting with other people on track. Meanwhile, Crazy Cowlin and Flavored Adams are at it a bit as Plaid Shirt has lost ground a bit, so Flavored Adams is now picking up the pace here. But here's the thing, where is Hot Dog going to end up? Because if Hot Dog ends up in the middle of GT traffic again, that could be problematic. Is Hot Dog out of the pits yet? He's not out of the pits yet, but he's going to accelerate. He will stay ahead of GT traffic, so he's going to have nothing but clean air for a long time, and he is now a pit stop cycle ahead of everyone else. We turn our focus back to this fight for second in GT4 now. Around the outside, and Flavored Adams has got him. Hot Dog pitting incredibly early here, trying to get on an alternate strategy so he can run more laps in clean air, but he is going to have to pass more prototype cars, but he will have a lot of time in nice clean air, not having to worry about fighting. The only downside is that the same will apply to Otavio and RX. And if one of those two drivers found some really good pace in clean air, well, that might come back and bite Hot Dog in the flank. Flavored Adams has gone up to second now in GT. So the top 2 runners at the end of Stint 1 in the GT4 category are now swapped in position here about 20 minutes in to Stint 2. Traffic not working out well. Hellbane has been involved in 2 accidents already. Bit of a slide, bit of a twitch. It looks like it's working right now. All right, here it comes. That Molson Porsche can't get back around the side. He's got some good runs on the BMW, but has just not been able to get alongside of him. And now Mr. Plaid Shirt is coming back into the fray in this fight. Right on board with Mr. Plaid Shirt as he watches the fight ahead of him for second. So it was a fight for second in Stint 1. It's a fight for second here in Stint 2 as well. Cowlin should be close enough to get a toe off of Flavored Adams. And Mr. Plaid Shirt should be close enough to get a hint of a draft from both of them. But Adams had enough of a good run coming onto the straight that he's not going to be challenged for position. Through turn 1, big slide by the Porsche mid-corner, slide by the BMW on corner exit. Now they're going to come onto the back straightaway. Both of them have a big twitch on different parts of the circuit, but it's Cowlin who is worse off, and now here comes Plaid Shirt. He's going to have a good run down the straight. This could be the fight for third. Cowlin defends the inside. Plaid Shirt trying to go on the outside. There's no room. The Porsche moves right in front of him. A little bit of contact. Oh, and the BMW went wide. Boy, did the BMW went wide. And now all of a sudden the Porsche, despite not having a good run, is by up into the second position. And now they're going to come on the run down to the carousel again. Not quite nose to tail. Heavy under braking downhill. Now into the carousel and then the kink afterwards. Probably the two most important corners for these drivers. You have to make these corners stick. And both the BMW and the Porsche are so wide, so slidey through there. I think Plaid Shirt, if he can just nail the kink, is going to have a run on one, if not both of these cars. Neither of them had a good run. A big hit into the outside wall by Flavored Adams. Is there any damage to the car? No damage. But look at that. Plaid Shirt goes right by after the BMW slides wide. These drivers are going to have to start pitting soon, I would imagine. Good news for Cowlin, though, gives him a chance to open up a bit of a gap. Your leader, Anzio, is going to pit. Plaid Shirt's going to pit. Flavored Adams is going to pit. So Cowlin is now going to inherit the lead in his Porsche. All right, we're going to go ahead and ride on board with a flying lap with TNR RX. So you get an idea what a flying lap looks like from him. We will be back shortly here at Road America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Road America. We are looking at Indiel Hot Dog right now as your leader in prototype. TNR RX has now gone ahead and pitted 27 minutes in. Hot Dog already elected to make their first pit stop. So the question is, are all these laps in clean air going to work out in Hot Dog's favor? He's not had to deal with any GT traffic. RX did have to deal with some GT traffic. Will Hot Dog be able to catch or at least close down the gap between themselves and RX? Also, Hot Dog is going to be hoping that he'll be able to overtake Deadpan during this pit stop sequence as well. In addition, there are a pair of GT drivers ahead of him who are going to be fighting also. BFL Striker in the GT AM category briefly goes in the lead as he is electing to make his first pit stop way later than everyone else. In the end, Deadpan is definitely going to lose ground to Hot Dog, but Hot Dog is still behind RX by about the same gap he was earlier. Dives to the inside of the Mustang, will clear the BMW in the braking zone. They have a twitch, but he'll be able to continue to make this work. Meanwhile, in GT, Anzio leads. Crazy Cowlin is going to be second. He has slowly opened up the gap on this duo of Flavored Adams and Mr. Plaid Shirt. These two have been going back and forth for quite some time now, and here comes another shot at it. Plaid Shirt's not going to go too deep into the corner, but Adams is wide. Adams bleeds off some time. It keeps Plaid Shirt in the Camaro right underneath them as they go under the Corvette bridge. Round turn 6. And now into 7. This is going to be a downhill section. The BMW has been really slidey, having a lot of trouble keeping power under him. The Camaro honestly seems to be a car that is more stable, but just a little bit slower compared to what the BMW can do. And now, HYR Otavio is going to pit. So 3 different prototype cars have led laps here in Stint 2. Where is Otavio going to end up in relation to RX and Hot Dog? That is going to be the big question as we watch this fight for what is currently 3rd in GT. And BFL Striker is also going to go ahead and pit out of the overall GT league. Now, again, he is GT AM, so he doesn't really have an impact on this fight. He is fighting for a victory in a different category, but overall distance will mean that we could see GT drivers in the GT AM category ending up ahead of GT Pro drivers. We have already seen that happen. Where's Striker going to end up in relation to Nerdy Chimera, who is currently leading in who his team is leading overall in the GT4 AM category, but he himself does not seem to have anything close to Striker's pace. And yeah, Striker is way, way behind, it seems. All right, prototypes having to navigate their way through these active and semi-active GT4 category fights here. But this stint has been a lot cleaner outside of Hillbane having 2 accidents very early on. We've not had nearly the amount of chaos and accidents that we did early on in Stint 1. Also, between Otavio and Hot Dog, well, these 2 drivers are now just about on top of each other. So remember, Hot Dog pitted much earlier than Otavio to get onto an alternate pit stop strategy. That way he could run more laps in clean air. It's closed the gap down between himself and Otavio, but the gap between himself and RX hasn't really shifted. But Hot Dog is fighting with Otavio overall. Remember, RX's team was 2nd at the end of Stint 1. Otavio's team was leading by a pretty solid margin at the end of Stint 1, and Hot Dog's team was an entire lap behind both the HYR and the TNR entry at the end of Stint 1. So Hot Dog needs to make this pass and open up as much of a gap as possible. They are basically trying to dig themselves out of a hole here at Road America. It does seem like RP Mullet and Deadpan, they pretty much seem to be solidified in being 4th and 5th. The fight's just going to be for 1st, 2nd, 3rd. And again, the more ground that Hot Dog can close, the closer it will make the overall fight for prototype win here. Oh, that's a dive. That is a confident dive. Gets really physical there. Otavio will hold station. But again, the NDL drivers are fast, but boy, are they aggressive, and they will throw their cars in places that they should not be. Hot Dog continues to harass Otavio now through the midsection. And now into the carousel. Bit of a twitch and slide from the rear tires. Still, that 96 car is not giving up. Tucked up right behind the rear wing. Do you go for a move? Do you go for a dive? Going into Canada corner. He's close enough to have the draft. How does Otavio defend? Does Otavio even try to defend? Doesn't need to. This time, at least, Hot Dog will not go for the dive. Not this time. Oh! Otavio's just a little wide. Slides. Coming out of the final corner. This could be it for a Hot Dog. Otavio did not have a good run coming on to the start-finish straight. Uphill they come. Here he dives to the inside. Pulls up. Not quite neck and neck, but he should be able to lunge under braking. Run the 24 wide and take 2nd. He brakes way later than Otavio, and he will get the position. However, Otavio did brake early, try to get the crossover. There's contact between the 2 of them. And Hot Dog keeps the car under him. Otavio is slideways coming out of the corner. Downhill and now into the heaviest braking zone. Does Otavio go for a big dive? No, he's actually going to brake nice and early. Hot Dog is a bit sideways, but Otavio did not have to run out of the corner to make the fight back. I think this is over. I think this is over. I've been wrong before. Meanwhile, in GT, while Anzio has stretched his legs, he doesn't have a massive gap, but he has stretched his legs to a comfortable gap early on here. Crazy Cowley runs second in GT. Flavored Adams is third, and Mr. Plaid Shirt is fourth. Second, third, and fourth, all in a prolonged stalking battle amongst each other right now. Then BFL Striker in this number 49 Mustang is setting themselves up for a stint win right now in the GTM category. Death Rows, kind of just irrelevant right now. We honestly were expecting more from the Mercedes here in Stint 2. Then you get to the other GTM category cars. Nerdy Chimera, who is one of the two drivers doing an Ironman challenge. He is running. He's not been involved in any incidents, but it's not looking great for him. And then you have Hellbane, who was involved in 2 accidents early on, just trying to limp it home. And Hot Dog and Otavio are pitting at the exact same time. Well, that's interesting. So Hot Dog and Otavio pit at the exact same time. I'm curious to see between the two of them who ends up ahead. And a fight for second is about to kick on as Crazy Cowlin has just about been caught by Flavored Adams. Big slide. That's not what Cowlin needed. With that big slide, he's going to bleed off a huge chunk of time. And here comes that BMW of Flavored Adams and the Camaro of Plaid Shirt. Cowlin has just enough of a lead. He'll still be leading as they come out of Canada corner. But Adams is there. Adams is closing. Cowlin just has not been able to put together nice, clean laps, even when he's by himself. The Carrera has really been giving him some fits and kicks, sliding back and forth. Cowlin trying to run a bit of a defensive line, trying to break the draft from Flavored Adams. I don't think Adams will be close enough to make the move in turn 1, but he definitely will be close enough to try and make the move on the run downhill at the end of the back straightaway. And if these two fight long enough, they will drag Mr. Plaid Shirt back into the fray. So the fight for second has gone back and forth, both in Stint 1 and Stint 2 here for the GT Pro category. Again, Cowlin running a line that may be a bit slower, but he's just trying to deny Flavored Adams the draft. And it works for now. But the BMW is there, looking for a move. Do you go for a big dive into the Corvette bridge? No, not this time. In fact, Adams brakes nice and early to try and get a great run off. He's right under the rear wing again. Now through turn 7, big twitch and slide. Porsche dropped the tire into the curb and was not happy about that. But Adams also dropped the tire into the curb and loses the run he had. Otavio and Hot Dog having their own fight here. This is for net second in prototypes. And it looks like Hot Dog's got him, but this has not been easy. Indiel has great pace by himself, but not enough to just make moves happen without issue in fighting. Thing is, that does seem like Otavio is a little weaker when it comes to mano-a-mano battles. All right. Here it comes. Flavored Adam around the outside, and he'll clear Crazy Cowlin. Cowlin goes deep. Puts the bumper to the BMW. The BMW runs over the curves, but I think he's got it together. Mr. Plaid Shirt, is he going to try and do something to the Porsche? Not this time. The Porsche actually had a halfway decent run. Prototypes blitzing through. We completely missed that. That is, I believe, our prototype leader. Well, that got more than a little bit exciting there for RX. Watching the entire GT traffic all trying to have a knife fight there right around him. But he is clear. And for the moment, boy, it's gotten physical, but it does look like Crazy Callan has flavored Adams. Adams may be faster in lap times, but mano y mano, it's really bloody close between the two of them. Thing is, that Porsche keeps throwing the rear end out and bleeding off a huge chunk of speed almost every corner they go through. This should be it. I think we'll see Flavored Adams complete the overtake under braking this time. Or maybe not. The Porsche goes deep, but not deep enough. And Adams around the outside completes the overtake. So Adams goes back into the lead. It's actually the lead right now because Anzio elected to pit very early on again. Wide line there from Adams, and it brains Callan right back behind. Plaid Shirt's close enough to watch this fight, but he just is not fast enough to make any active moves on this duo, it seems. There's been some really good fighting, though. Big slide. Boy, that was a big slide by Callan. He should still be able to get some draft off the BMW, but Plaid Shirt had a nice clean run through the kink. Might be able to go for a big dive going into Canada. Will he commit to it? No. He's going to back off early. Callan goes really deep through Canada corner, trying to close down the BMW, but all he does is leave himself open to attack. Camaro trying to go around the outside. You don't want to make the outside move through there. And that's the reason why. You try to make an outside move going through that second to last corner, and you're just going to run out of room. None of these cars, not even the LMP2 cars, have enough speed and downforce and grip to make the outside move work in that corner. Every time we have seen someone try to make the outside work there, it's just failed every single time. Indiel Hot Dog has ended up back behind Otavio as this duo is trying to navigate traffic here. Drag race, Hot Dog and Otavio up the hill. I'm shocked that Hot Dog moved over to give Otavio clean room going up the hill. I would have kept him pinched behind the traffic and forced him to back out of the throttle, but Hot Dog's a nicer, cleaner driver than I am. I would not have any hesitation. So Hot Dog, though, has beat Otavio going through turn one, and now Otavio trying to fight back on the back straightaway here. A little bit of contact door to door. And mind you, this duo is about to come up on that mess of a fight, a bit of a knife fight that's been going on for what is currently the GT category lead. They're still side by side. Hot Dog puts the bumper to Otavio, or I shouldn't really say the bumper, more like the quarter panel to Otavio. And as these two continue to bleed off time, TNR RX is just going to be laughing his way to the bank. This is exactly what he needs. The fastest driver, and arguably the fastest team, unlike the team that has been leading both in this bleeding time to each other. RX gets a chance to try and open up his gap. All right, into the kink now between Otavio and Hot Dog. And that is a really slow Mustang. Did Stryker have an accident? No accident, but definitely was running abnormally slow through there. All right, where is Prototype? Where are these prototypes going to catch this GT fight? Looks like it's going to be in a straight line. Yeah, if you're catching all these guys in a straight line, it's going to work out well. Also, Crazy Callan goes ahead and pits. Boy, Plaid Shirt had to have been like, what the heck happened there? All right, now up onto the GT category lead. Deep under braking. One gets by. They both get by without any issue there. So GT traffic won't put any sort of issue on this time by. So we're going to go ahead and take a mandatory Twitch ad break. We'll be back momentarily here at Road America as two of our winning contenders for a prototype category continue to have a knife fight here about 40 minutes into the event. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Road America. Pit stops underway for the field for their second mandatory stop. And Anzio, who had opened up a nice little gap over the rest of the field, he has been making his pit stops early, is going to re-inherit the lead over the rest of his GT Pro category drivers. Reminder that BFL Striker is leading in GT overall, but he is technically fighting for the GT AM fight, so he is not really having a direct impact on this battle as it stands right now. So Anzio goes back to the top spot. Death Rose has yet to make his second stop of the day. And then Crazy Cowlin, Flavored Adams, and Plaid Shirt, these three continue to fight all day long. Cowlin's actually made his second stop a little earlier than Adams and Plaid Shirt. It got him some track position back, but he is now going to be running at a tire disadvantage for basically the rest of the stint unless some crazy things happen. And we are back to having this brawl going down. Seems like the fight for second in GT has been the battles to watch throughout the entire events today. That is your prototype leader, RX, trying to cut his way through traffic here. He'll get him cleared. Deadpan will go ahead and pit. RX leads in prototypes. He's opened up a gap. Again, Indiel Hot Dog went from last to first in about 10 minutes, but went wide trying to get around traffic, lost a bunch of positions, and then NDL said, hey, I'll pit early. Well, it's worked on getting him back to Otavio, but RX has been running his stints long, and RX has been doing a good job keeping himself clean. So right now, RX could be in a position to walk off with this event overall. We continue to watch this fight for what is currently lead in GT4 Pro. That BMW has another great run coming down, drag race side by side down the run. Again, Flavored Adams runs just close enough to watch the fight, but he's not really able to actively make battles in this. Oh, wow, Adams really wide, just completely botched the braking zone, and he makes contact there with the Camaro. He's got to try and force the Camaro to back out in the following corner, and he slides off now. And Adams is way off. That's 2 corners in a row that he just completely botches and goes from fighting for first to now a slightly distant third. And that is exactly what Callan wanted to see. Also, Death Rose technically leads GT Pro just because he's not made a second stop yet. So another different driver has led in the GT category. This has been a wild one to say the least. right now in the fight between the HYR and the NDL team, Otavio has honestly opened up the gap on NDL Hot Dog. It seems like Hot Dog is really fast, able to run laps anywhere, but the actual ability to fight, Hot Dog's abilities to actually fight and make overtakes seem to be a bit sloppy. He's able to make moves, but he's not able to make the moves and then run off. He just seems to make moves and just kind of stumbles, not really able to get away from these other drivers. So now, Cowlin has to deal with Plaid Shirt. Flavored Adams is the one who's a little bit farther behind. Back underneath the Corvette bridge. Now, turn 7, the run downhill. Turn 7 is a very, very technical corner, very heavily focused on a mechanical grip, and somehow Cowlin seems to be really good there. His problem is that despite how big the wing is on that Porsche, he seems to be struggling the most in the more downforce corner-focused sections of the circuit. So, kind of strange how that's worked out for the Porsche that is second right now, but overall leading when it comes to pit stop strategies and everything in the GT category. All right, this could be Plaid Shirt's best shot. Already, the Porsche is sideways, just getting into the corner. This could be it for Plaid Shirt. We're gonna be side by side, coming into Canada corner braking zone. Can the Camaro make the move stick on the outside? Oh boy, he's trying, he's going for it. He's trapped the Porsche on the outside. The Porsche is gonna want back out. Otherwise, he risks going off circuit. The Porsche goes deep. He's sideways. He slides off. He's only gonna lose one position, but he slides off. And now Plaid Shirt goes into second. So finally, after pit stops, Plaid Shirt gets to put some rubber to the road. And in the end, Otavio and Hot Dog have bled so much time fighting for each other that RX has opened up a gigantic gap on them. And he has this really active fight for GT that's going to be protecting him from those drivers behind. So yeah, RX, I think, is going to walk off with the stint win as long as he doesn't end up in any accidents here. While NDL is probably faster, TNR is doing a good job of knowing when to pit and turn clean laps and when to just go ahead and I will say he's doing a great job out there on his overall strategy and managing his race. Sheer speed will only get you so far. And that is prototype drivers now need to navigate their way through the GT traffic. Otavio already navigating his way through just about all of them. And now Hot Dog's gonna have to deal with these three as they're coming up to the carousel. I think he should be clear of them all by the time he gets to the kink at least, which is the most important corner. Oh, look at that. The BMW tried to follow the prototype through, and he'll use that to force his way by. Contact, though, between the Camaro. Is there any damage between the Hot Dog or that Camaro? Doesn't look like it. Plaid Shirt still looking good in clean air. Flavored Adams has gotten back by Cowlin, though. Very smart move by Adams to see that Crazy Cowlin was going to leave the inside line nice and wide open for the prototype. And when the prototype went by, he immediately shifted his braking zone, moved his entire car under braking just so he could dive in and get alongside. That was a fantastic job by Flavored Adams there. Okay. So BFL Striker will go ahead and make a stop, as will TC Death Row. So we will see Anzio back in the lead. Mr. Plaid Shirt in second. Otavio has elected to make his third stop a little earlier than Hot Dog. So Hot Dog was the one who pitted early in the first fuel and tire run, but as this has gone on, it has been Hot Dog who has been running longer and Otavio who has been running shorter on the stints. It's a bold strategy, Pat, and let's see how it plays out. Meanwhile, these two German cars, the BMW of Flavored Adams and the Porsche of Crazy Cowlin, cannot leave each other alone. So while it's been a lot less accident-filled than Stint 1, I would argue that Stint 2 has been a lot more interesting on the mano-y-mano battles on track today. While the top spots for all the categories seem to be pretty much locked up, everything second on back seems to be some variation of a knife fight or a brawl today. And these two cars, Flavor Adams and Crazy Cowlin, I do believe that they are faster than the Camaro Plaid Shirt. But if they spend too much time fighting with each other, Plaid Shirt might be able to scoot away just a bit. All right, into the kink. This has been Cowlin's biggest, weakest corner here. Nothing too bad for him this time, though. More prototype traffic coming up. That is a send. Mind you, that's Otavio, who had just navigated his way around these drivers. Going around the outside's not a good idea, Otavio. So I think that's the first time we've seen someone make an outside move stick. And what happened to Adams? Adams is off in the final corner. I don't know if he was spooked by the LMP2 going around, but Adams goes off. And that's going to push him down to 4th overall in GT. And that pushes Cowlin back up to 3rd. That works out well for Plaid Shirt because now Plaid Shirt has a nice big gap between himself and Cowlin. And mind you, Flavored Adams, this is the car that dominated in Stint 1, but now he's going to lose heavy, heavy time to just about every other GT4 category contender. I still think this car will be the overall leader, but this is going to be absolutely dramatic. Now again, he still has about 45 minutes to run the gap back down, try to get back to at least Cowlin and Plaid Shirt, but man, that's not going to help them in the slightest. Also, RP Mullet is on track to maybe go a lap down to RX in a little bit of time here. Also, by the same name, is that Hellbane about to go a second lap down? Yeah, it does seem like Hellbane's about to go a second lap down here. But right now, most of the battles seem to have paused for the moment. And that could change, obviously, at almost any time. But for now, it seems like everyone's kind of spread out a bit. Anzio is going to, yep, go ahead and put Hellbane a second lap down here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and knock out a ad break, but we're also going to go ahead and ride on board for a full lap with the leader in the GT AM category, BFL Striker. See what a flying lap looks like around someone who is confident with the Mustang GT4 around Road America here. Full lap on board. And that was a full lap on board with BFL Striker, your leader in the GT Am category. But we have a driver off. This seems to be Hillsbane. Finally, he gets back underway. No damage, so he is going to be able to continue. But Hillsbane has just been having a day that's going from bad to worse all day long. It's just been one of those runs today for him. That is 6th place Anzio, who is leading in GT right now. He'll be followed by the Camaro of Mr. Plaid Shirt. After that will be the Porsche of Crazy Cowlin, the BMW of Flavored Adams, and then the car we had just spent a lap on, the Mustang with Striker. And then you'll see the prototype leader going by, as well as LRP Mullet, who is the first prototype who is a lap down. Indiel Hot Dog is well ahead of Otavio, but that's because Otavio has made his 3rd stop of the day very early on. So Hot Dog now in clean air, just trying to see what he can do to run down the gap to himself and RX. Mullet is already a lap down, but most of that is, yes, pace has something to do with it, but I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Mullet has also elected to make their 3rd stop of the day relatively early on here. Anzio now pitting out of the lead in the GT category. So as long as Plaid Shirt doesn't pit this time, he will officially spend some time in the lead here. Yep, that is exactly what we're going to see. So Plaid Shirt has led, Anzio has led, Cowlin has led, Adams has led, Striker has led, and TC Death Rose has led. So of the 8 GT drivers, all 5 of them in the GT Pro have led at some point. And our dominating GT Am driver has also had moments where they have been ahead of all of the GT Pro drivers. So GT got a lot more competitive here in this stint. Indiel Hot Dog now paying out 2nd position. So let's see, where is he going to end up in relation to HYR Otavio, who had already made his 3rd stop. Bit of traffic there that Otavio will have to deal with. NDL and HYR is not a team rivalry that you see a lot of in Forza. It's not usually a case that one team is way ahead of the other, although that does have a element to it. It's normally a case that they're not usually running in the same events, and when they do run the same events, they're usually not in the same lobbies with each other. So seeing this proper HYR versus NDL fight going back and forth is honestly really interesting. GT traffic really compromised Otavio there, and there he is! There's Hot Dog immediately. So while Otavio had position, traffic is all it took to push Otavio right back into Hot Dog's grasp, and here we go again with this fight. This has probably been the best fight to watch all day long. Both of these drivers are absolute masters of their craft. Well, they're at least masters compared to me, but they have not had the fortune to be able to just blitz away from the other. Every time one of them seems to have an upper hoof, the other one falls into their grasp. It has been one of those days for this duo. And while I do think Hot Dog is faster, I think Otavio has been just a little bit more better when it comes to the actual fighting portion. Hot Dog keeps falling way behind Otavio and then runs Otavio down with minimal issue, but he's not been able to get by and then open up the gap. Still waiting on RX to make a stop, but the way it is going, RX is basically about 40% of a lap ahead of this duo. He can pit and will still be ahead of them. Crazy Cowlin, the Porsche, is paying out 2nd in the GT category right now. We have about 36 minutes left in Stint 2 here at Road America. coming up and overtaking Anzio, who we believe is setting in when strategy is anticipated as well. He is saying in overall first place right now. Ottavio's wide. Here comes Hot Dog. Does he go for a big dive? No, not this time. Not under the Corvette bridge. They are coming up on a little bit more traffic here. This could be where Hot Dog nips Ottavio, though. And that's exactly where he nips him. Runs the 24 wide as the 24 was backing off so he wouldn't hit the Mustang. And Hot Dog shot by on the inside. Outstanding. That was great strategy by Hot Dog. Using a lapped car and anticipating where Ottavio was going to back off and taking advantage of it. We've seen GT drivers do that to each other. With the prototypes going by, now we have seen prototypes do it to each other as they go by GTs. That is one of the best parts about multi-class racing, is that it adds an extra element of chaos that really opens things up. Yeah, I imagine that Flavored Adams will not be very happy about being bullied off track like that by the prototype drivers, but sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it. Plaid Shirt in the Camaro is going to pit, so these two will now have a nice clean track, no more traffic for some time. Plaid Shirt is going to be joined by Flavored Adams in the pit. Stryker has been going long on his fuel and tire runs every single lap, the entire run, and that seems to be the case this time as well. Nerdy Chimera, who won Stint 1 for the GT4 AM category, but is nowhere near the front this time. He'll likely have to pit some sooner rather than later. He still has 2 more stops to make. He runs right behind Hellbane right now, who has just been having a disastrous day. Every single accident we have had thus far has been Hellbane. There have been drivers who have slid off or gone off circuit, but outright damage-inducing accidents, all of them have been Hellbanes thus far. And Chimera is getting really pissed off as he has not been able to pass Hellbane this entire time. He says, screw this, and he's just going to go ahead and pit and try to overtake him during a pit stop sequences here. Deadpan is going to go ahead and pit. So RF is the only driver in the prototype category who has yet to make his 3rd stop. And we have lost Death Rose. I think that's the Mustang, isn't it? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the Mustang we've lost. Not the Mustang, the Mercedes. We have lost 2 stints in a row. All right, coming in to the Xbox party is TC Death Rose. Death Rose, can you hear me?
I just got bullied.
All right, can you include your audio in the Xbox party?
Yes, I can.
All right. Well, Death Rose, it seems like another disconnect for the Mercedes team. 2 in a row. Just can't seem to catch a break. But I do have to ask, what was the actual racing on track looking like from your perspective?
It was really good. I really loved it.
Did the prototypes give you any issues whatsoever? Like, crowding you off the line or anything like that? Or has it just been normal and clean?
Well, a couple of times we got a little bit of an argument with the LMP cars, but we sorted that out a bit.
All right, well, if there's anything else to say, go for it. I hate to say I've not really focused on you a lot in this race, so I haven't really picked up on any threads worth talking about, but if you have anything else you want to talk about that happened in your stint, feel free to elaborate.
No, I'm happy with everything at the moment, except the start, when Hell basically nearly brake checked me.
All right, one more question. Who's going to be taking over for the car going into Stint 3?
It will be Land Juice.
All right, we'll be keeping an eye on that. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, mate.
All right, thank you. Have a good one.
Yep, Hellbane has gone off again, the 2nd time in 3 laps there in the final corner. So the time in the 64 Mustang just continues to get more and more frustrating as the event goes on. All of your prototype battles have cycled down to this one. It is still Hot Dog and Otavio. These two cannot leave each other alone. And with RX about 40% of a lap ahead of them, this is just going to be a fight for second between these two. RX, I think, might end up in overall prototype lead at the end of the stint based on how this is going. Because a Hot Dog and Otavio just keep dragging each other back. And for Hot Dog, this is frustration because he's not really gaining any ground on the HYR team, and he's losing ground on RX's entry as well. So, very fast driver, but has not been able to open the gap and scoot away to start digging their team out of that hole right now. I have no doubt that NDL team is going to be third overall, so that should help them a little bit going into Stint 3, but still, it has not been a great run for them as this has gone on here. BFL Striker now goes ahead and pits, so that should cycle Anzio back into the GT4 category lead here. Everyone except your prototype drivers have made their 3 of their mandatory 4 stops. As again, we want to focus on this fight for what is currently second in prototype. Although right now, there's only one more GT car ahead. That will be Hellbane that they're about to come up on. And once they clear Hellbane, it will be clear track ahead for this duo. Otavio's got a run on Hot Dog, though. Into Canada corner, not close enough to dive bomb, but he is within the draft. These two have not been able to... Oh, and Hot Dog goes off into the dirt. Hot Dog spends a massive amount of time. He's still in the dirt. He's way off. It's all gone slideways. Not sideways, slideways. And he's going to fall back behind Hellbane. And Hellbane goes off now, trying to not get hit. This is 3 times in 4 laps that Hellbane has gone off. But, yeah, this time it was Hot Dog who was caught off guard by traffic. It has been one of those days. NDL, I think, have the fastest drivers, but their ability to keep it clean and on track has been severely lacking in both stints thus far. And the good news for the HYR team is that now, with Hot Dog pushed way behind, they can kind of put their head down and just try to focus on lap times. Again, they are still fighting for overall stint victory, overall event victory against RX. And speaking of which, RX is finally going to dive into the pits to make their stop. All right. So Anzio leads with 27 minutes left in the event. We're going to go ahead and ride on board with Anzio for a flying lap. See what a full lap looks like on board with the Subaru that has been dominating here in Stint 2 at Road America. And that was a full lap on board with our current leader. Oh, that's a big twitch by the prototype. That was a full lap on board with our leader in GT, Anzio. As we have a fight about to break out again between... Excuse me, we have a fight about to break out again between the duo of Crazy Cowlin and Mr. Plaid Shirt. Plaid Shirt's gone off a few times. Cowlin has not, but Cowlin just struggles to keep the car's speed up, especially going through the kink and to a lesser extent coming onto the back straightaway. And because of that general lack of consistency, Flavored Adams is now running the gap back down on Crazy Cowlin here at Road America. Reminder, we will be here, I say we, it's really just me, to cover Stint 3, and then I will try and shepherd as many people as they want over to the Stint 4 and Stint 5 broadcasts, as I will still be covering the PTG NASCAR season finale at Miami. Hopefully, if everything works out and that race doesn't go long, I will be back to cover the final stint of today's event here. Interesting thing, at this stage of the race, I believe everyone except RP Mullet in the prototypes are on the lead lap still. I think in the GTs, everyone is still on the same cycle except for Hillbane, who is 2 laps down. So, granted, the fact that this is a really, really large track helps a lot, but drivers have not been absolutely falling off the lead lap throughout the stint like what we saw in Stint 1. So, especially in GT, the performance gaps seem to be a lot closer overall. It's just Hillbane is way off pace, but otherwise everyone's real up to each other. Down the front straightaway, Crazy Cowlin runs a defensive inside line, but Flavored Adams got a big draft. He's going to go to the outside, and with the speed he has, he'll likely be able to go deep under braking. He'll probably run a little wide in 1, but he's going to take this position under braking, I imagine. Oh, not quite. There's some contact, and they both dripped out. But yes, Adams does get the position on Cowlin. Cowlin has just been kind of gradually bleeding off time when he's by himself. He does well fighting, but by himself, he just does not have performance, cannot seem to keep the rear of that I keep saying Mustang. He cannot keep the rear of that Porsche Carrera under him, it seems, in the higher speed corners. And that really compromises his lap time. It's not as much of a problem when he's fighting with other people because he can use the draft to kind of negate the time loss, but when he's by himself, it's been hurting him significantly more. Oh, Otavio is pitting early. So Otavio, who has inherited a significant lead over Hot Dog after Hot Dog had a big off about 10 minutes or so ago, now he will make his 4th stop with about 21 minutes left in the stint. Hot Dog will be making his stop a little later, so Otavio's going to be at a tire disadvantage. But has he built up enough of a on-track advantage that won't matter? If they can keep Hot Dog, if Otavio's able to keep Hot Dog behind, that really puts HYR in the fray long term. It's not just, oh, well, they got lucky that NDL had 3 accidents in the first 30 minutes of Stint 1. No, they are going to be in a position where they are legitimately fighting for Stint win. We are looking at a very, very interesting battle overall between TNR, NDL, and HYR. All 3 of them are setting themselves up very well for the run to the end, I imagine, or at least their closeness to each other at the end of Stint 2. Who's got the fastest lap? I cannot say because if you look at the ticker, I do not have that. I just have automatic changes, penalty, and pits. So I don't have that. But from what I've been able to tell, it is either going to be India Hot Dog or RX who have the fastest lap in prototypes. It could go either way, but if I had to put money down, it would probably be Hot Dog. In the GT category, it's easily going to be Anzio who has had the fastest lap in the GT Pro category, and the GTM category has easily been BFL Striker who has had the fastest lap. BFL Striker actually running right behind Anzio right now. And that is a Mullet who is 5th. No, that is not Mullet. That is Deadpan who is 4th in prototypes, who's just blitzing by these drivers here. Again, reminder, Striker is not fighting with Anzio for the win. He is fighting with Nerdy Chimera and Hellbane for the GT Amateur category. Mustangs were way off pace in Stint 1, but they're way on top of it here in Stint 2, at least the number 49 Mustang is. So GT Amateur might get a little bit tighter to watch going into the next stint as well here. Adams has really pulled away from Crazy Cowlin. It's not by a massive amount, but he has been pulling away, not really struggling with any issues here. And there's Cowlin sliding off again. That's why I mean, like, he's just not been able to keep the rear of the car under him going through some of the corners, primarily the higher speed downforce corners here. When will Hot Dog make his 4th and final stop? That is the question. And when he does, where is he going to end up in relation to HYR Otavio? Deadpan making his final stop. What about RX, your overall leader, man who's basically guaranteed to win this stint? When is he going to make his final stop? He has been running his stints nice and long all day long. 17 minutes and 45 seconds left. Remember, you are required to knock out your final pit stop by the time the race timer says 25 minutes left. It's not like Tour. That's the big difference between this and a Tour event. Tour says you have to knock out all your final stops by the time the race timer says 30 minutes. Here it is 25, so you have about 5 more minutes of breathe time if you want to take it. For RX, because he has been going so long, I would wonder if he would consider making it just like a splash and go, come in, put just the absolute barest amount of fuel in, maybe don't even change tires, and just maintain track position. Or you could do the opposite. If he is overfilled by any chance, duck in, throw new tires on, don't change fuel at all. I don't think he is overfilled, though. He's only got 25% left. I don't think he's overfilled in the fuel tank. But I'm just saying, like, when he makes his final stop, ideally, he might, well, maybe not ideally, but he might be able to push it off to being very, very late in the event and just making it a nice and clean stop and go, not a full service stop like everyone else, including him, has been doing every other stint thus far. India Hot Dog still has yet to make his final stop, and he is in a fight with HYR Otavio. Mind you, right now, Otavio is dealing with clean air as well, but will likely catch traffic. Not a lot of traffic, but he's likely going to catch traffic shortly here in the form of Crazy Cowlin, who has also just made a stop. Also, if BFL Striker stops, or Flavored Adam stops, or Mr. Plaid Shirt stops, well, those are all extra drivers that we could see Otavio have to deal with that Hot Dog may not have to worry about. As we watch Hot Dog on his run down to Canada Corner. About 16 minutes left in the event. RX stays out for another lap. What of Hot Dog? Does he come in this time? Yes, he is. This is it. So we're going to watch Otavio and see where Otavio and Hot Dog are going to be in relation to each other once Hot Dog is done with his final stop. Already, Otavio coming onto the front straightaway here. Now, Hot Dog is already rolling down the front stretch as well, but he's going to have to be on the throttle and get his tires warmed up in the first 2 braking zones. All right, here comes Hot Dog coming out of the pits now, but Ottavio's clear of him. Boy, is Ottavio clear of him. Hot Dog is not... Well, Hot Dog has closed the gap down, but not a whole lot. I think these two are likely going to start fighting one more time for second position. So with a little less than 15 minutes left, we're going to go ahead and knock out a Twitch-mandated ad break. And when we come back, we will follow the fight to the end here at Road America. Or not yet. Wait a second. Nope, no damage, but it looks like Nerdy Chimera has finally made their final stop as well. Okay, we'll be back shortly here at Road America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Road America. I would have done this under the ad break. I'll go ahead and knock it out now because it seems like most of the positions have solidified themselves. I got a request to do a flying lap on board with the slowest driver, and that would be Hellbane. So, oh God. We are going to go ahead and spin this next full lap on board with Hellbane and give you an idea as to where the number 64 Mustang is struggling here around Road America. Okay, I guess not then. I guess we're not doing that. Don't know why he made a 7th stop. He had no damage and plenty of fuel, but that is the 7th time the Hellbane has stopped there. And like I said earlier, the fight between Ottavio and Hot Dog looks like it's going to kick on one more time with 11 minutes left in the stint. So these guys will get about this lap, about 4 more full laps, and then about half of another lap afterwards. Still waiting on RX to make his final stop. He's got a little less than 6 minutes to do so. But again, when RX makes his stop, it's going to be bloody fast. He doesn't have a lot of fuel, so he will have to refuel. But I wonder, does he consider not changing tires so that way he keeps his pit stop nice and short? Or will he go ahead and put some fresh rubber on? Anyways, focusing on the battle for second, as Hot Dog has caught Ottavio once more. He has been faster than Ottavio, but has not been able to clear and just blitz away from him. And now with only 10 minutes left, Hot Dog has at least got himself up to his team up to 3rd overall, but he is still the NDL team overall is still in a bad hole, a full lap behind Ottavio and RX at this stage of the event. And they only have 4 more stints after that to try and dig themselves out. Basically, they have to be, on average, a mile ahead, if not more than a mile, probably closer to like a mile and 1.2 miles ahead of Otavio and RX over, on average, on the remaining 4 stints if the NDL team wants a serious shot at stealing the overall event win. Now, again, I do think they have the speed for that. I don't know if they have the cleanliness to do that. And here comes the move for second once again. Neck and neck. Out of the corner. Still a drag race down. He's going to clear him. Slides the car right in front of Otavio. And that's Hot Dog back to second. Now they are coming up on some traffic. And now, here comes Otavio. He's going to try and go around the long way under the braking zone. That's Nerdy Chimera. Ahead. Otavio actually backs out of the corner so he doesn't get ran wide. They're both going to get held up by that Porsche just a bit there. Doesn't really hurt or harm either of them in relation to the other. Mind you, Hot Dog pitted later than Otavio, so he has fresher tires. After making a stop, RX is only barely on the lead lap. Not on the lead lap, has only barely kept Mullet a lap down, if I'm seeing this right. Oh no, that's Deadpan who's gone a lap down. I am wrong, and there goes the move! Otavio outside, Hot Dog inside. Hot Dog goes deep under braking, super deep. Otavio's gonna cross him over, but that's gonna put him on the outside. You don't want to be side by side in these corners. And yeah, Otavio backed out of it. Lunges way too deep in the final corner. He's going to bleed off a huge chunk of time in the process. But now he's going to have the draft back on Hot Dog uphill. 7.5 minutes left. And they are coming up on RP Mullet, who is last in the prototype category. Ooh, Hot Dog in the dirt there. Otavio looking on the outside. Got a relatively good run out of the corner. So onto the straight. He's going to have, if he wants at the draft, he's going to try and go the long way around the outside. Will be a dead hander braking. Who brakes earlier? And it will be Otavio. But Hot Dog brakes early as well to squeeze Otavio. Keep him on the outside line so he can't try and cross him over on the corner exit. Interesting thing is that they're coming up on prototype traffic, not GT traffic, so we don't really know how these two are going to be when it comes to navigating GT traffic here. Navigating other prototype traffic. Speaking of GTs, all the GT drivers seem to have solidified in their positions. There are no active GT battles right now. This is it. It looks like this will be the fight to watch to the end of this year. Hot Dog has a draft off of Mullet there in the Spyro car. He's going to have to be careful and pick and choose where he wants to actually make the move. He's going to go the long way around, and that will help Mullet just outright broke offline so that way they could go by and he would not hold them up. So a little less than 6 minutes left for this duo. There is some traffic ahead, but the GT field has all spread out enough that traffic will just be one at a time. So 5.5 minutes left. Everyone has made the required 4 stops at this stage of the event. I do think Hot Dog has finally gotten the upper hand over Otavio. It has taken a ridiculously long period of time, but he has finally made it work. Now, of course, a mistake could still happen. We've seen Hot Dog be in this position before, where he was ahead of Otavio, and then a complete self-inflicted incident, and he bleeds off a massive amount of time. The big problem, though, is that for Otavio, he was basically over a lap ahead. His team was a whole lap ahead over the NDL team. They can run like this, and overall, Hot Dog's is not really closing by any significant margin on the HYR team. Going into Stint 3, the car will still only be third and at least 4 miles off of second place, let alone the lead. But yeah, it does look like Hot Dog has finally pulled away from Otavio just a bit now. Coming up on traffic under the braking zone. Oh, not a great run through there. And all of a sudden, Otavio's right there again. A little less than 4 minutes, so we'll get this lap and the majority of another lap afterwards. Real quickly, check this out. A little shot here near the end of the race. That is your leader in Prototype and your leader in GT. RX and Anzio both sharing the same piece of track for a bit here in the closing moments. Just wanted to show that while it was still relevant. All right, here we go. They have actually caught a pair of GT drivers. Now, they're not on the same lap, but they've caught some. And Hot Dog's held up by the Mustang. Otavio's right there. Otavio didn't have any room. Yes, Hot Dog was held up, but there was no room for Otavio to get alongside. Less than 3 minutes left here. Into the carousel. Now, the good news is they should be able to run in relatively clean air, I think, for the rest of this. And the next drivers they would catch would be Plaid Shirt and Nerdy Chimera, if they catch them. But I don't know if there's going to be enough time for them. No, I take that back. They're definitely going to catch. You're going to see them as they come out of the final corner for what should be the final time here. You're going to have not quite an entire lap here to figure out their positioning between each other. But it does look to me like Hot Dog has it. As long as he's not compromised under braking by one of these GT cars going into turn 1. He'll dive to the inside, clear the Camaro without issue, dives to the inside of the Porsche, clears him without issue. Otavio close the gap back down, but not enough. There's only one more GT car up the road, and I don't know if they're going to catch them. And even if they catch them, I don't know if there's anything that Otavio will be able to do to get by them. I think Hot Dog will barely get second in the Stint, but in the overall war, it's going to be a case where Hot Dog's going to win the battle, but they are not in a position to win the war. A minute left. Otavio looks, trying to figure out a way to get at least alongside. This run here will be the best one. If Otavio gets a better run to the kink, out of the kink than Hot Dog, this could be the best chance for them. Coming up on some traffic on the exit of the kink. Oh, he's going for it! Here it comes! There was a 3 wide for just a moment. Here comes the run! With 30 seconds left, Otavio diving to the inside, Hot Dog on the outside. You don't want to be on the outside in this upcoming corner, but Otavio's coming to it. And he's got him! Boy, did he get him at the last moment! And I was wrong, they're actually going a little faster than a lap in every 2 minutes, so they will run to the final corner one more time. Hot Dog will have a draft and a run to try and pull up alongside, but Otavio nipped Hot Dog there, coming out of the kink on the run down to Canada corner. Incredible job All right, here comes Hot Dog, though. He now goes back to the inside. And time's up. Over. Plow. And that will be it. So RF wins the stint. We knew that for sure. Otavio will be second. Third place, Hot Dog. And if anything, Otavio, even if it's only by a few feet, Otavio actually adds to the gap that he has over Hot Dog. Fourth place will be Deadpan. Fifth place will be RP Mullet. Sixth will be Anzio, who will easily win in the GT4 category. Seventh and second in GT4 will be Mr. Plaid Shirt. Third place in GT will be Flavored Adams. Fourth place will be Crazy Kowloon. And then winner in the GT AM category easily will be BFL Striker, who was an entire lap ahead of Nerdy Chimera. So, Nerdy Chimera might lose their overall lead in the AM category. And then Hellbane is going to be nearly 3 laps down in the GT AM category at the end. And then TC Death Rose in the Mercedes. That Mercedes entries goes back-to-back, not being able to finish. We're going to knock out an ad break. When we come back, we're going to try and get interviews with our winners in our 3 categories. But if not, this will realistically be the end of the stint. So we'll be back shortly here at Road America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Road America. I'm not going to try and invite Anzio because I know that Anzio is going back-to-back in stints, but coming into the party right now is TNR, RX, FXEX. RX, are you able to hear me? All right, in the Xbox party, can you include your audio? All right. Yep. All right, RX, definitely an interesting run today. Your team was second at the end of the prior stint, and today you've closed a huge chunk on the lead, and you've extended your gap over the NDL team that a lot of people thought was going to be the fastest. How in the world did you put that together, mate? You were on your own planet today, it seemed.
Yeah, it was a really great stint, so I think I actually killed Shadow there, not Shadow, Hot Dog. We had some contact and it was just a downfall for him after he was battling with Otavio a lot of the time, so I just had a clean road ahead of me. The GT4s were kind of tricky to pass sometimes. I was getting them in really bad places, but overall it was really great. I had no actual difficult parts on my stint. It was just smooth overall.
All right. One more question. Who's driving the car in stint 3?
It is Marquin BR34. So it's my other Brazilian friend. We have like this team is just composed of Brazilians, so it would be kind of tricky to for you to spell their names, but I think you would do a great job.
I'll figure something out.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks for jumping in and talking with us. Good job on the stint win.
Thank you, mate. Good job on the stream.
All right. And with that in mind, I'm going to wait just a short period of time to see if BFL Striker is able to jump in. Do remember, Striker is the one who is hosting this lobby, so do keep that in mind. But moderate likelihood that he's not going to be able to jump in and talk with us here. I'm just going to wait a little bit longer. And then if he doesn't jump in very shortly, I'm going to end this stream and then start a new stream up for the beginning of the Stint 3 broadcast. But thank you, everyone, for joining us. We still have a little bit more going on as people are losing their mind over Brazil in the chat right now. Yeah, we will still be here for the next 2-hour stint at Road America. That is the last one I am guaranteed to broadcast. Stint 4 and 5, I will try and shepherd viewers in that direction. And then do remember, Stint 6 is a little bit up in the air. I'm hoping I'll be able to cover it, but there's no guarantee right now. But yeah, I've not gotten anything from Stryker yet, so I'm going to go ahead and assume that Stryker is not going to be able to join the interview. So I'm going to close this stream out, and I will start the new stream in about a minute's time. But until next time, I've been your host for today's broadcast, Insane Leader 13. Thank you very much for joining us today. Farewell, and goodbye, everyone.